Welcome back to the AIMExpo Education Stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Senior Vice President of Government Relations for the Motorcycle Industry Council, Scott Schlegel.
Well, thank you, Lee. Thank you, and welcome to everybody. Wow, great crowd we've got out there hanging out, kind of in church, like in church. Everybody's in the back out there, I guess. So, but it's great to see everyone here from our power sports community after a 2-year hiatus where we had to take a little bit of time off from having our AIMExpo. The last time we were together was in 2019 in Columbus, Ohio, which was actually a fantastic event. And I think at that point we all agreed that what we needed to do was we needed to grow our ridership. And so we started thinking about what that process was going to be. But then January of 2020 hit, and of course that brought with it COVID. And there was a lot of concern about what was going to go on as a result of COVID and what that was going to impact, how that was going to impact our industry. We saw a lot of manufacturing shutting down early on in COVID. We saw dealerships that had to shut down as a result of COVID. And so MIC got to work, and what we did was we reached out to the Department of Homeland Security and talked to them about having our power sports industry labeled as an essential business under the DHS CISA guidance. And after several attempts at doing that in several weeks, we were actually able to successfully get our essential service designation through DHS, which was fantastic, and that allowed a lot of the dealerships and manufacturing to reopen, which was really, really positive for us. As COVID progressed, we saw a lot of people actually turning to power sports as opposed to turning away from power sports, right? They saw it as a great family time. They saw it as a great way to commute and not have to worry about transmitting the virus. And they saw it as the everyday therapy that so much of us have liked and enjoyed over the years as we ride our motorcycles, ATVs, and side-by-sides. Demand actually surged, and we saw a huge surge in returning riders as well as new riders coming to the market. And for the first time ever, I had gone into dealerships in the area that I live in and didn't realize that they had put in dance floors instead of motorcycle space because there were so many empty showroom floors out there, which was actually great to see, but also problematic to see. So ironically, the issue in 2020 and 21 was less the issue of demand and more the issue of supply. We saw supply chains around the world starting to have disruptions and problems that were associated with that. And I think that we're going to continue to see supply chain issues in 2022, unfortunately. But while we've seen an increase in the sales, we still need to stoke the demand and continue to stoke the demand and return to what we saw in 2019 as our goal of growing ridership. So, and we've done just that. We started a new ridership initiative that has now turned into a full-fledged Ride With Us campaign. And for those of you who were here this morning, you heard Mark Rogers talk a little bit at the 10:30 session about being focused and intentional effort on your goals. And that's exactly what we did. We focused in on ridership. We formed a committee to look for a new head of ridership at MIC. That consisted of industry marketing experts. It consisted of the chair of our dealer advisory council. It consisted of other key staff. And they got tons of resumes in and lots of really qualified candidates that they looked at and that they interviewed. But in the end of the day, they came down on one person that they all agreed upon unanimously was the best person to head up that effort, and that was Cinnamon Kernes. So Cinnamon is our new VP. You all know Cinnamon from here at the AIMExpo events. She's been putting on these awesome events for several years for us now. She's a lifelong motorcycle enthusiast. Her dad, when she was a kid, had a BSA motorcycle. She saved up her pennies and was able to buy a Ninja 250 as her first bike when she was a teenager and learned how to ride and has been passionate about it ever since then. She's so passionate that she's even been known to shed a tear during the opening lap of MotoGP races, believe it or not, according to her better half and partner, Adam. So, we know that she loves to ride her Aprilia, and anyone who's been on a Zoom call with Sin can attest to the fact that she's got a beautiful garage that looks like something out of a motorcycle parts magazine. It's really nice. So and Sin will be here to talk to us a little bit about what she's done now on that ridership initiative. Joining Sin will be David Nour. David is no stranger to most of us here. He's got 20 plus years of industry experience. He's been leading organizations and relationships in quantifiable ways. His mantra is that relationships drive everything. They drive innovation, they drive growth, they drive profitability. And David's passion just oozes through when he speaks. You'll see that if you haven't seen him speak before. I've never met his family, but I've been on enough Zoom calls over the last 2.5 years and symposia calls to know that his family is really passionate about riding. His daughter rides, his son rides. And David's only been riding motorcycles for 12 years, but he's bought and sold 24 different motorcycles, and he's been to 18 different rider courses. So we look forward to hearing from him. So please welcome to the stage Cinnamon Kernes and David Nour to discuss an era of community.
So, I don't know about you, but is it like church? Front row's empty. Come on in. We got, and you and I are between them and a lot of alcohol. So we either better be good or we better be quick.
We need to do both.
Got it. So, as Scott was kind of to mention, my name is David Nour. I write, I speak, I coach, and I'm passionate about profitable growth. And specifically, how do we identify, build, nurture great relationships to get us there? Star of the event, none other than Cinnamon Kernes. You have a new job.
I do. So this year I took over, or we launched Market Expansion. We've been busy doing a lot of things, but it didn't just start in 21. This actually started in COVID when we began to reach out with community distancing and recreational distancing. But one of the biggest things we did this year is we launched the brand Ride With Us. And we have a video.
Yep, we're going to run through real quick the agenda very quickly. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this power and promise of community. Many dealers sold a lot of units in 2021. If you make that a transaction and forget about them, you're leaving money on the table. So we're going to talk about what you can do with the community. We need the industry buy-in on how to scale this. We're going to talk about some best practices. I want to give you practical, pragmatic ideas to take away, including some tools that you can immediately implement. And then we want to talk about 2022 as the year of action. But with that, we got an awesome Ride With Us video.
We do.
Applause for that one, right? Nice.
Thank you.
So this isn't the only thing. You've really built a whole campaign around this.
We have. So we launched Ride With Us, and I want to talk about what this means, because one thing I want you to notice is the brand Ride With Us. When you look at this logo, when you look at this, a lot of you might say, where's the piston? Where's the tire tread? Where are the handlebars? How are they going to know what to ride? And the reality is that if you don't already ride, what does that mean to you? Do you know what the piston is or what it does? It doesn't mean anything. And what we need to do is change the way we communicate with potential new riders. And how do you do that? How do you connect with them? If you stop and think about what is the international symbol of welcome, of community, join us. We want you to be part of us. What transcends genders, age, race, religion? What transcends all that? The international welcome, join us, is a smile. And that's what Ride With Us is all about. It is about being part of a community, because we are an incredible community. And that is the foundation of Ride With Us and how we are looking to expand our market.
Beautiful. So in terms of the community, right? when Sinner and I were talking about community, I thought about, and many of you know, I'm originally from Iran. I came to the U.S. with $100, a suitcase, didn't know anybody, and didn't speak a word of English. So I have a tendency to look a lot of things up. So I looked up community, and it really is this feeling of kinship. How many times have you and I been somewhere where you don't know anybody and you feel like a complete stranger?
All the time.
Versus going somewhere where at least you have a common thread, you have a common theme. I got into motorcycles with a buddy from our son's Boy Scout troop who built his first car when he was 14. And I said, listen, I don't know anything about this, but I'd love to get into it. I'd love to learn more. My wife and kids bought me a 49cc scooter for Father's Day, and that's how I got started. And I met MIC folks, and it just became, right? But I quickly figured out I don't want to ride by myself. I want to go find other people to ride with. And I quickly found a couple clubs, and you start to learn about who's in your area. So community brings you in, invites you in to come be a part of something. And we thought, what better way than to actually show you, and by show of hands, how many of you have played a dynamic sport like soccer or lacrosse or hockey, or maybe your kids play? So most of you will attest to this, right? 90% of these games are played when you don't have the ball or the puck. The best, if you watch, the best teams, the best players on every team are asking, where should I be? What should I be doing? How do I put myself in the best position so when we do get the ball or the puck, we can actually do something with it? Now imagine that field being the industry. Imagine that field being your market. This isn't just a dealer thing. It's not just an aftermarket thing. It's not just an OEM. It really does take everybody. So I want to give you some examples. You and I were talking about some of these. How many have heard of Union Garage up in New York City? Right? What did you do? What's a pre-pandemic tradition around Thanksgiving in your world?
For me,
yes.
Adam, my partner, we go for a ride every Thanksgiving.
Love it.
Every time.
Do you partake in any kind of turkey?
We don't.
We don't. All right.
We don't.
Okay, guilty. I'm always thinner before Thanksgiving and then thicker afterwards. These guys schedule a ride to ride out and deliver turkeys on their bikes to those in need. And you and I talked about the incredible work the industry does.
But I think that's one of the most important things. Our industry is so benevolent, and in today's age, being part of a community also means giving back to it. And we are probably one of the most unsung heroes of benevolency and giving to that community. And it's a great way for dealers to plug themselves in, to reach new people. It's about what being a motorcyclist is.
By the way, something like 400 people participated in this. They went and bought a turkey, met together, and rode out to deliver these turkeys to those in need, right? Here's another one. How many have heard of Distinguished Gentleman's Ride? Right? I never heard of anything about this till a few years ago. I've now ridden in 5, right? So if you haven't heard anything about these guys, global, right? They've built this unbelievable community of like-minded people that gather, right? And they come from all over the world. And look at the impact. You and I talked. One of my biggest frustrations at the one that I wrote, there was no dealer. There was no dealer to talk to me about gear. And by the way, a lot of those people come as guests. They're pylon riders that they just kind of heard about a cool event to come and participate in. So why not combine this amazing philanthropic cause with a sense of come join us, come be a part of this, not just one day a year, but throughout the year. You brought another one to my attention, which was the whole garage days. Now, in all candor, some dealers feel threatened by, if I learn how to work on my own bike, it might impact their business.
So you're talking about community garages?
Yes.
Okay. So community garages, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's a shop, a universal centralized place where members can sign up and go and work on their bike, because most people don't have bike lifts, they don't have the tools, they don't have the knowledge. And you're right, some dealers do feel threatened by it, but the reality is they're very complementary, because at the end of the day, these garage operators, they need to get their supplies and their tools. They actually usually invite dealers in so that there's a trusted partner, because I've worked on enough bikes and broken enough things that I then can't undo, that I have to take it to the dealer to undo what I've done. And the reality is, now I'm going to go to a trusted partner. So I think community garages, it's just another touch point, another connection for riders to get together and celebrate the lifestyle, because that's what it's about. When we talk about 2022 and an era of community, it's about the lifestyle and it's about the sense of community and the belonging. It's no longer about the machine.
So when you told me about these garage days, I got curious and I started looking it up. Look at this, women's. Just a women's event to kind of come together and learn about the tools, about maintenance 101. I love these guys. What is it? Skid Mark Garage?
Yes.
Love it. Tell me about these guys.
So these guys, they started a small community garage. We started working with them when we were in Columbus, Ohio. And the great thing about them, they started small, they have a great community, and then they've actually taken it one step further, and they now take a mobile garage and go to the local schools, and now they're teaching kids not to ride, but to be interested in the bike and the mechanics, and again, that community of hanging out and wrenching together and just having fun around the unit.
After this, I got really curious. I found out in DC, right? This one is a very popular event. These guys have a warehouse. People that are either builders or mechanics at dealers invite people in, and you have lifts and equipment. Look at this one in Boulder. Take a wild guess of what that arrow that points down on the website does. Come join us. Here's some of the upcoming events. Come be a part of our community. Here's the Boulder Garage team, right? So again, they're bringing people in around a common theme of, I don't want to just ride the bike, I want to learn how to work on it. I want to learn more about how to really create a great environment. So this one is really close to home. So I live in Atlanta, and Pop started as a custom fab shop. And then they added a coffee shop. And guess what? We didn't have a Triumph dealer anywhere in the metro Atlanta area, so they became Triumph of Roswell. And I have personal friends who were big-time Ducati and BMW and a lot of other brand advocates who are now buying their first Triumph because of Pops, because it's become not just a coffee shop, but a place to gather. This is Elaine. Elaine, Jen and I work together. Elaine rides a couple BMW bikes. She's at Pops every weekend. And again, she's bringing friends to it. And it's now creating a community. Recently, they had a custom artist that said, bring your helmet or a small item, and they'll custom paint kind of whatever you want on your helmet or a small item. 400 people showed up. And this thing went on from 11 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon. So it's a chance to kind of gather and really bring people together around a common theme. Right?
Because it all comes back to community. It really does. And when you talk about the 400 people, they're not coming because it's a Triumph dealership. They're coming because they're getting together with friends. And you're going to hear me talk about community a lot. Not today, but going forward. Because when you look at what the MIC is looking to do, one of the things in 22 we'll be doing is launching a national campaign. Because Ride With Us, it's a brand, it's a campaign, it's a statement and a call to action. And again, it's about welcoming everyone, sorry. I get so excited, I lose track. So in saying that, in 21, we started with a digital campaign, and in 22, we'll be looking to have that dovetail into print, various medias, things like that. And again, it'll be about reaching a new audience, people that have never thought about riding, and talking to them about the experience, about the emotion that riding brings. Most of us don't ride because of a particular bike. We ride because of what we get out of that experience, the sense of freedom, the exhilaration, the passion. And that is what we will be conveying through our national campaign. And then as part of that, we will be looking to give dealers the tools. We want to give them access to the collateral that we'll be providing, because what we want is a unified voice that will be amplified, and the unified and consistent messaging, the stronger we are, the more we convey that together, the further our reach is going to be and the more impact that there will be. We're willing to do the heavy lifting. We want to do the work for you. It's why we're here. We're the Motorcycle Industry Council. But it's going to take all of you to work together to be united in our messaging so we can see a difference in the way we communicate with people.
I love tools. I heard you say tools. Tools like what? What would you give me as a dealer or an OEM or aftermarket to really amplify that MIC voice?
So again, we'll give you access to the social media content that we come up with, the creative, so you can have assets and resources in your store, things like that. The other thing we're looking to do is help support dealers as they start talking to new motorcyclists or potential riders. Because at the end of the day, we want to send potential new customers into your dealerships. Dealers, you guys are our first responders. You are the first person people go to look for information. And we want to arm you with the tools to have the correct conversations so that we can take the moto curious and turn them into motorcyclists, and if you're a little bit like me and Nour, the moto obsessed.
And that dealership, if I have a bad experience and I leave, it's not just that dealer that lost the opportunity, the industry loses, because I'm gonna go look into fishing or go buy an RV or something else with that discretionary spend.
Exactly. And there are a ton of people doing great things to bring this industry together, to help it grow. There are a ton of social media messages and groups that are out there trying to help this industry grow, but they're fragmented. And again, we want to create a way to bring that messaging together, to bring those resources and those tools, whether it's rides or events like you were talking about. And if we can create this central portal that houses all this information. We've started the Ride With Us website, and it's something that we'll continue to work on very extensively in 22 to build that out so that content is out there for consumers, again, so we can help them on that journey of ridership.
Love it. So let's switch gears and let's talk about for a second this idea of developing the community, really building out the community. You want to focus on three things. How do we engage them? How do we influence their thinking? How do we create call to action? A lot of information on here. I want to focus on three things. Number one, this is about communities, about conversation. Communities about interaction. Communities about like-minded people. So if you focus on adding value, it can't just be let's get together. You want to add some sort of value. You want to take me on rides in places where I haven't been, or introduce me to others that likewise I can get to know and become familiar with. You also want to create a rhythm for the community. If I know that you're doing something every Tuesday, bike nights, or once a month, you're going to do a garage session, or once a month, we're going to do a charity ride. Now I want to put that on my calendar. You're competing for my mind share and wallet share. Get the mind share, I'll bring you the wallet share. But you got to find opportunities to add value to my experience. It's not just about the jacket or the boots or the aftermarket part. It's about the experience you create for me while I'm there. By the way, it cannot just be in person, because I might see you once a week or I might see you once a month. We're big advocates of online community as well. Start small. I'm going to show you some examples. Build an online community. You already have. When I bought a unit from you, you've got pretty much all my information. The challenge is if you don't follow up and follow through, then you're going to be forgotten. I'm going to move on to the next thing. So you start small with people that are biggest advocates, those repeat customers, those that come back often. You want to build focus on first impressions. You need to hear this. 7 to 10 seconds to make a great first impression. In the next 7 to 10 minutes, you're going to cement that expression. So if I have a good experience with you, I'm going to stick around. If you're snobby to me or you're asking me about the 5th rung of the ladder and I don't know what the ladder is, I'm walking out. 7 to 10 seconds to make that first impression. The next 7 to 10 minutes, I'm going to cement that impression. Last but not least, you actually need somebody to be that online community manager. We're like whoever's doing social media for you can also build an online community and nurture conversations.
But
this is about conversation.
Let me add something to that. So in 2019, we worked with a company called Centauric, and they found that the vast majority of marketing and messaging that was coming from dealerships and coming from the power sports industry was focused on the motorcycle. It was focused on the product, and almost none of it was focused on the lifestyle. And at the same time, they found out that it was the lifestyle and the emotion, that's what brought people to ride. So again, you're looking for that sense of freedom. You're looking for that thrill, that adventure, that escape, whatever it is. The machine is the means to the end. And that is part of what we're looking to do with the MIC in our communication, is to change the way we talk to our current riders and potential new riders.
So Scott mentioned that both of my kids ride. I have a 20-year-old daughter who's a second year at Georgia Tech with the stress of chemistry major. wants to go pursue pre-med with the stress of organic chemistry. You know what she wants to do when she comes home? Dad, can we go for a ride? Because a 2-mile ride and all of that melts away. I've got an 18-year-old boy who's just excited about us riding together, and all of his friends, and you need to hear this, out of a school of his class of 400, 2 ride. 2 kids ride out of school of that class of 400. Rest of them like retweet and they like his posts, and whenever we go ride together, this past year we rode, I don't know if I told you about this, we rode the Continental Divide.
Yes.
From New Mexico all the way to Helena, Montana. And it was 2,000 miles of back roads, and at the end of the trip, it's like, Dad, thanks for bringing me. By the way, this bike is like the Hummer of the bikes, and we ended up buying both of those bikes. That's what that sense of community does. And we went with 18 different people we didn't know anything about before the trip. By the end, you feel like you become best friends, right? So let me give you some examples. I want to give you 3 examples that I think will really resonate. So a couple of things to think about this next year. 1, map out your monthly events in advance. As I said, if you build a cadence, and that's really what I want you to hear, a cadence for bike nights, for lunch and learns, for garage days, for come and get the right tools, learn about the aftermarket parts. You know, most riders have never met anybody from the helmet company. Most riders don't understand kind of what's involved, and new riders involved in different types of clothing. Why not get them involved and educate them on why you don't want to ride with just a jacket or a pair of jeans? Because you go down, that's not going to go well for you, right? So map out your events well in advance. Create and nurture an online community. Increasingly, new riders are very digitally savvy. If you create an online community, you're creating that hook. I ask often people, have you ever tried pushing a rope? It doesn't work. Create that gravity, create that pull, give people a reason to keep coming back to your brand, come back to your community. Number 3, sponsor local clubs. I don't understand this. There's a dealer where I live who sponsors a local club and they never show up to any of the club events. What's the point of the sponsorship? Show up. Talk about what's happening. Talk about the supply chain. Listen, right now we're having a hard time getting units, but we do have these other things, right? So I love Ask Me Anything. I love live Q&As, any kind of gatherings. 4, philanthropic causes we talked about. Go get involved in the community. Do something for the community. Most cities have inner city kids who've never been on a bike. They don't know anything about a bike. Well, they're not going to be my customer. You never know. You never know who else is going to be involved that's going to develop that interest in the space. Last but not least, cross-pollinate with other sports. What about RVing and dirt bikes? What about biking? Joe is one of the members of one of my bike clubs. He actually has retrofitted a rod on back of his bike to carrying a fishing pole whenever we ride because he loves to fish. And we've actually been places where he finds a river, takes out the fishing rod, and starts fishing. So what about cross-pollinating other industries with biking?
Well,
So-
and I think real quick, I just want
Please,
to add.
yeah.
So one thing, if you guys haven't heard, the MIC and Ride With Us, when we launched the Moto Intros in 21, that was one of our main priorities, was to not just go to current riders and offer rides to their friends. And let me back up. So if you don't know what Moto Intros are, they're basically a 30-minute new rider experience. So we took people that had never ridden, we put them on bikes, and within 30 minutes they were shifting, feet on pegs, going in circles, and again, we gave them that opportunity for that aha moment. But the important part about that is that we didn't just do it in existing rider events. We did them at Overland Expo, and this coming year in 22, we'll be looking at partnering with the RV industry, with the marine industry, with just big general county fairs. It's about what we need to do is we need to bring riding to the potential people. We cannot wait for them to come to us because that is no longer an option. And in today's market, they are waiting for us to go to where they're at. So we can't expect them to just walk in, find their way into a dealership. We need to go to where they're at, and we need to get them into our sport and share with them why we do what we love.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let me give you 3 examples. This is what I really wanted to show you. 3 examples of powerful tools you can implement pretty quickly. Number 1, texting. You cannot text for prospecting. It is going to turn people off. But if I'm already a customer of yours, connect. Actually, they're here. There's another company that does a similar thing. Texting 95% of text messages are opened within the first 5 minutes of getting it. 95% of emails are ignored until I get around to it. There's a fundamental difference in real-time access if you can text your community. A lot of these applications will also allow you to pay through text, get directions, and it just creates, again, that sense of community. So Connect is one. Second one is a company called Mighty Networks. These guys they've got a platform for an online community. So once I get that buyer, all the units you sold, I can feed that customer information into Mighty Networks. It sends them an invite, come join our community. And now you can start to build a digital online community. Third one, love this one, Sprout. Sprout Social is about social listening. People are out there posting on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and a whole lot of other places about, oh, I was at a buddy's house, or oh, we did this thing. If you can listen, it actually creates an environment for you to engage them at the time of their choosing and on the device of their choice. 3 tools that can help you build a community, help you build that gravity and pull this afternoon. You just got to invest proactively, this sense that it's not about the speeds and feeds or the parts, it's about the lifestyle. It's about engaging them, it's about influencing them. I can share this with you as well. We've built a process of what you need to think about in terms of auditing what you've got, build a need, build their journey, really optimize it, and you can scale it. And she hates it when I do this, but my partner Jen Cord is sitting here. She drives a lot of our revenue growth, a lot of the marketing growth. How do we turn leads and existing relationships into bigger opportunities? Sin, bring us home.
What? All right, I know you all are ready to have a cocktail and go to the industry party, but I just want to say that in 21, we had a lot of great initiatives with Ride With Us, and we'll be building on that momentum that we had. They were received with overwhelming positivity. So in 22, you're going to see a lot coming out of market expansion and the brand Ride With Us. It's not a campaign. It's not something that's here for a specific time. This is a brand. It's a call to action. And you will see a lot coming out from 2022, in 2022. But tonight, this is about you guys. So please celebrate what you do. Celebrate the great things in this industry. Get your drink tickets and have an incredible evening. Thank you all.